Hey guys, we've got less than a month to go until the iPhone 11 Pro, yes, new naming there, is unveiled. And it's been a crazy week of leaks. We've got some triple lens iPad Pros that nobody asked for. At first I thought that was a joke, but apparently actually very likely to happen. New naming for the iPhone, the Pro series, and I partnered with Max Weinbach to bring you an extensive report on a bunch of new features you haven't heard anywhere else coming to the iPhone 11, which may or may not sway you to buy it. I'm excited personally. I'm always excited when Apple's releasing something, and I don't know about everyone else, but it should be an exciting month. All right, so let's get started with the Pro naming. This makes sense to me, and let's start with where it came from. CoinX is a Twitter leaker. He accurately predicted the last year's lineup just a week before release, and has been fairly accurate with earlier rumors as well. He insinuated towards a Pro naming on this year's iPhone lineup. Now, he didn't detail what the other iPhone would be called, so there are a couple of variations here. Let's go through those. The iPhone XR replacement this year would either be just the iPhone or iPhone 11, leaving the 5.8 and 6.5 inch models to be the iPhone 11 Pro, or possibly just iPhone Pro. To me, the naming makes sense. I like it. I think it's good for Apple's marketing too. The only problem I have is, do the new features justify the Pro naming? And Vanya Geskin here puts it well. The Pro should be USB-C, the Pro Motion display, and of course Apple Pencil support. This year's iPhone is only rumored to get Apple Pencil support, at least on the new iPhone 11 and 11 Pro series. So what features would Apple be keeping exclusive to the Pros that other iPhones haven't had before? We'll definitely find out. I don't think the Apple Pencil is enough. And next year, there will be a bigger distinguishing factor between the Pro and non-Pro series with all those upgrades happening. We've got more release date predictions, this time from CNET. They're anticipating also a September 10th announcement date with a September 20th release date. That one's being predicted by SoftBank president, who just casually dropped it in an interview. And a new report from Wedbush today is claiming that all three iPhones will be released simultaneously. So there won't be a staggered release like last year on the iPhone XR. In fact, this will be the first year where Apple launches three iPhones and they're released at the exact same time. Okay, so let's start on those exclusive leaks with Max Weinbach. First things first is he's saying base storage will be rising from 64 to 128 gigabytes. Better, but not as good as Samsung. They offer 256 gigabytes base storage on the Note series. Apple's never really been about value though. Past that will be 256 gigabytes and then a 512 gigabyte option like currently exists. And this is just for the 5.8 and 6.5 inch. He doesn't know about the budget end 6.1 inch model. And by the way, regarding these leaks, it's interesting to me because I'll be going back once the iPhone launches and we'll be able to compare all of this stuff because there's a lot in here. He's also saying 1 terabyte is rumored for 2020. So next year's iPhone will have a max storage size of 1 terabyte. And a very cool one, he's saying that the rainbow Apple logo rumors we've been hearing about are true, but won't be happening in the way that you think. Indeed, Apple will be bringing a rainbow look to certain devices, but it'll be more of a coating. So not the old retro style Apple logo like I showed you earlier, more like the shimmer on the back of the Galaxy Note 10 series, but a lot more subtle. And we tried to render that for you. It isn't easy. He understands it as more of a silver aura with some rainbow elements to it. Very subtle, but when you move your iPhone around, it'll have a beautiful look. And a lot like the current coating on the XS Max, Apple has been playing with them, so it makes sense that they'd expand on that with the iPhone 11, make it feel more different. And of course, don't forget we're gonna have that matte coating on the back of the new iPhone, which by feeling alone, it will feel different. He also says the gold coloring for the premium iPhone will be slightly different. He doesn't know in which way, but it will look different. It would be nice for Apple to bring back the iPhone 8 soft gold color. That's one of my favorite all-time iPhone colors, and I'd like to see it on this year's iPhone too. The 6.1 inch XR is to receive improvements in the corner of the display with improved anti-aliasing and then just general display panel improvements. It's Apple's last year on the Liquid Retina display, then they're going all OLED on next year's lineup, so they want to leave that off on a good note. Apparently, they've also been testing iPhone 11R prototypes without a mute switch on the side. Unknown if that'll make it to production. We know there are general mute switch changes even on the iPhone 11 Pro. There will be improved microphones on this year's iPhones, in particular to improve stereo recording, and Apple wants to fix any issues you may have during calls. Face ID will have internal changes, which in turn will mean it'll be as fast as Generation 2 of Face ID. That's quite fast because right now it lags behind. Regarding the cameras, some features here. All three lenses will be used for portrait mode data. And this means that there will be certain features restricted just to the iPhone 11 Pro series, where the 6.1 inch will have some features left out. You will be able to film video with the wide-angle camera, although it will be limited to 4K 30 frames per second, and generally the wide-angle performance in photo and video is to be better than competitors in many areas. So we'll see about that. 120-degree field of view. Very curious. That's one of my most anticipated features on the iPhone. And Apple is to add Siri intelligence in the camera application. Unknown what this means, but it could mean scene identification and respective options because of that. Maybe you're filming a certain landmark and it'll give you some sort of options in relation to that. I hope these general camera changes mean that you can actually change the resolution in frames per second within the camera app. I still think their camera app sucks. I mean, years behind the competitors. And the wallpapers in particular are to be a treat on this year's iPhone. I hope that means more of those dark night mode respective wallpapers that change, also some more live wallpapers, maybe dynamic wallpapers. Apple has been neglecting that so much. I don't understand it, but hopefully these treat wallpapers mean that Apple will finally be adding a ton of new ones without removing older ones. Moving on to the new iPad Pros, and the last leak from Max Weinbach says Apple has been testing water-resistant iPads, unknown which specification, but IP67 is likely. And that's the same rating as the XR, which is 1 meter for 30 minutes, relatively safely. I certainly see a need for this. People read on their iPad all the time, maybe in the bathtub even. So why not? Make them water-resistant. Apple has the technology. Okay, and those triple lens iPads, why? When we rendered that up, I didn't realistically think that Apple could do it, but I guess we sort of predicted that. So the new iPads will have triple lens cameras according to Maka Takara. According to a supply chain source, Apple will indeed be adding their latest and greatest cameras from the iPhone to the new 2020 iPad Pros. Not only that, but the 10.2-inch iPad is likely to get a new camera array as well, very similar to the new iPhone 11R series. So we rendered it wrong here, sorry about that, there was a little confusion, but it will have a dual lens camera, very similar to the 11R. There is an interesting design change though. The interior of the lens is not body colored, and that's because of the metal backing. Apple doesn't need to make it all glass and body colored here. I think it looks good. It's what a lot of people think the regular iPhone 11 should look like. So triple lens, dual lens cameras happening on the iPad, very cool. I mean, why not have the best camera quality? Now, I personally think this is because of the AR push, VR push, especially as iOS becomes more and more advanced to augmented reality. Wouldn't you want the best tool possible to make those AR dreams happen? And that triple lens camera will do that. Earlier, Bloomberg in January said the iPad would be the first one to get the rear time-of-flight laser-equipped cameras, and this certainly explains that. So that could get that technology first, and then 2020 iPhones will be getting the same camera array afterwards. And a recent report from UBS is claiming Apple is also working on folding iPhones and folding iPads, and we're likely to see one as soon as next year or the year after in 2021. So Samsung, Huawei, all those companies aren't the only ones working on foldable devices. Apple is just more of a wait and see approach, refine their technology before rushing to the scene like Samsung did. And according to Ming Chi Kuo, Apple will be absorbing all tariff costs for the iPhone this year. Next year, it's very likely the prices will be going up. They'll be moving production out of China, but 2020 and beyond, your iPhone is likely to get even more expensive. But regardless, whether the prices stay the same or go higher, people just don't want $1,000 phones anymore. There's been a new study, and it basically confirms what everyone knew already. Why the sales for high-end premium smartphones are dropping is people do not want to pay that much money. And Apple's best interest, I think, is to release an iPhone SE 2 to capture more of the low-end markets because people are holding on to their phones for longer. They're not upgrading. This year's iPhone will be a very tough sell knowing the next one is going to be such a big release. We'll see how it goes. Things are not looking good. And in that study, they confirm most people just care about two things on their smartphone: camera quality and good battery life. We already have pretty decent camera quality on most iPhones. Battery life is not that great. And I say this because Samsung, according to EV Leaks, will be producing graphene batteries in 2020 or 2021 in one of their devices. I'm very skeptical of this, knowing how much we hear about battery tech that never materializes. Graphene batteries would charge fully in 30 minutes compared to 1 hour right now on the Note 10. It's a great improvement, but they don't talk about if it actually makes the battery life any better, just that it charges faster. I'd love to see a push in battery technology though. I think it would fundamentally change change so many of the devices we use today. And lastly, a report from IHS Markit says the 16-inch MacBook Pro is coming in September. As a result of its release, Apple will be phasing out the existing 15-inch MacBook Pro series. Also, this new 16-inch series will be getting the latest Coffee Lake processors from Intel. I think it'll still be a few years until Apple adds their own in-house processors to their MacBooks. Okay guys, that's everything. Just under a month to go. Let's see what happens here. I've got a huge report on the 2020 iPhones coming next, and in that video I'll be having the giveaway results for the AirPods. Stay tuned guys. Peace.